In this video, we'll talk about concept of molting, which is also part of the arthropodal cuticle. That's the reason why I did not change the front of this particular slide. Now, we are talking about the arthropodal cuticle, and I have already mentioned that it can be subdivided into the epicuticle and the procuticle, and the procuticle can be subdivided into exocuticle and the endocuticle. I've already mentioned all that, and I said they all sit on the basement membrane and the epidermal layer. And I've already showed you the structure of this the structure of the epidermal, the insect cuticle, where we have the dermal gland, the trichogen cells, and the tomogen cells. The trichogen cells form the seta, which we have here, the seta that we have here, and the tomogen cells forms the seta pocket, seta socket rather. And we have already mentioned what an epidermis is, what a cuticular component is, what epicuticle contains, what endocuticle contains, the cuticular appendages, unicellular appendages, and multicellular appendages. And now we say we are going to molting. Now the question is, what is molting? Molting is the mechanism of periodical shedding or the periodical removal of the old cuticle and the formation of new cuticle, known as, this process is known as molting or ecdysis. So I'm going to write it here, ecdysis. The process we know as what? Known as molting or ecdysis. So the molting is the removal or the periodical shedding of what? Of the periodic shedding of the old cuticle. You understand? Now, the old cuticle, let's talk about the molting itself. The old cuticle which is shed off in the process of molting is known as exuviae. The old cuticle that is shed out is known as exuviae. And the internal between the two subsequent molting is known as stadium. Like the interval between the two subsequent, the previous molting and the new molting, is known as stadium. And the form assumed by the insects in any stadium is known as instar. So if I say instar, just know that it is the form that is assumed by insects in any stadium, which is in any interval between two subsequent molting, it's known as instar. Now, molting occurs many times during immature stage before attaining the adulthood. Now, let's talk about the molting itself, the molting process itself. Now, the molting process, we have to understand that it is an energy sapping hormonal regulated process, and the hormone responsible for the molting process is known as ecdysone. That is the hormone. The ecdysone is controlled intrinsically by the circadian rhythm and various environmental stimuli. So we'll be talking about the process of molting itself. Now, the first one that we'll talk about is, let us have outlined it here. This is the outline. We have the behavioral changes, the changes in the epidermis, apolysis, which is the detachment of the cuticle from the epidermis. That's the first, that is the third thing. Now, the fourth thing is formation of subcuticular space. The fifth thing is secretion of molting gel. I've already told you that the molting gel is secreted from the what? From the epidermal layer, because it consists of a molting gland. New cuticle formation, procuticle formation, activation of molting gel. The molting gel that was being secreted will now be activated, and now wax layer will be formed, cement layer will be formed, and it is now going to rupture and remove the old cuticle. Then the formation of exocuticle, known as sclerotization of melanization, and the removal of the old cuticle is known as the ecdysis. The behavioral changes in epidermis, apolysis, formation of subcuticular space, secretion of molting gel, new cuticle formation, procuticle formation, activation of molting gel, wax layer formation, and cement layer formation is known as apolysis. So basically, molting process is divided into three section: the apolysis, the ecdysis, and sclerotization or the melanization. Now, let's talk about it one after the other. The first one is the behavior changes. The first thing that happens is that the behavior change, and one of the behavioral changes is that the larva stops feeding and becomes inactive. And the neurosecretory cell of the brain produce something we know as prothoracicotropic hormone. That is the name of the hormone that is being produced. This hormone, which is prothoracicotropic hormone, stimulate the prothoracic gland to produce what we know as the molting hormone. The molting hormone. You know what an hormone is, right? What stimulates the production of something. Now, the second thing that happens is change in epidermis. Remember what I'm explaining now is known as apolysis. Apolysis. Now, change in epidermis happens that the cell size, activity, protein, content, and enzyme level increase in the epidermal cell. Mitotic division starts, increased tension, losing of the cell of the cuticle. The cuticular cell is going to be loosed. Now, the third thing that happens in hypolysis process is removal or detachment of the cuticle from the epidermis. Remember that when I drew cuticle for you, this is how cuticle looks like. Then we have the epidermis somewhere around here. Then we have the basement membrane somewhere around here. Now, what is going to happen is that the cuticle is going to be detached from the epidermis. So, if you look at the structure that I have here, this is the cuticle and this is the basement membrane and the epidermis. So, the cuticle is going to be detached from the epidermis due to losing and creation of pressure. Now, the fourth thing is the formation of the subcuticular space, which we have here, which will be the space between the what? Between the cuticle and the epidermis. If you look at it very well, we have a space somewhere around there, which is the subcuticular space. Now, after then, the secretion of the molting gel in the subcuticular space is being produced, which is rich in chitinase and proteases. That is what you have there. Now, the next thing is formation of the epicuticular layer or the new epicuticle formation. So, epicuticle formation or the epicuticular layer is formed and it is laid over the epidermis. Then the procuticle is going to be formed. The procuticle is going to be formed. Then there will now be activation of the molting gel that has been secreted in this place that I have here. Remember, secretion of molting gel in the subcuticular space. Then there will now be activation of the molting gel in the subcuticular space, and this molting gel is converted into molting fluid, which favors the digestion as well as the absorption of the old cuticle. Only a thin layer of the old cuticle is left out. A thin layer of the old cuticle is left out, and this layer is known as the ecdysis membrane. The ecdysis membrane, and this line are located in the median line of the head and the thorax. Now, the wax layer is then being formed. Remember what a wax layer do? The wax layer thread of a pore canals secretes a wax layer, and this wax layer is deposited in the new cuticle. Now, next thing is this formation of the cement layer itself. The formation of the cement layer. Formation of the cement layer. The next thing is the rupturing of the old cuticle. The rupturing and the removal of the old cuticle, and this is what we know as the ecdysis. The ecdysis. Now, can you see that in the molting process, ecdysis is just one step out of almost 13 steps in molting process. That is why we say it is an energy sapping hormonally regulated process. Molting is quite complex. Now, what happens is that insects increase in body volume. The body volume increases through the intake of air and water, which enhances blood flow to the head and the thorax, the head and the thoracic region. Thereby, the old cuticle ruptures. In this image, you will see that this is the insect, and this is the old cuticle that is ruptured, that is trying to remove. And peristaltic movement of the body starts moving peristatically. And it's a peristatic movement of the body, and the lubrication of molting fluid helps in the removal of the old cuticle. So the old cuticle is being removed, right? Now, the next thing is the formation of the exocuticle and the formation of the endocuticle after the last one, after the old cuticle has been removed. The upper layer of the procuticle develop as a new exocuticle, and the lower layer of the procuticle is developed as what? As the new endocuticle. And this process known as sclerotization or the melanization. That is the process of this thing. Now, remember I told you that it is an energy sapping hormonally regulated process, which means it is being controlled by hormone. Now, hormone control of molting, that is the next thing I want to talk about. Molting is controlled by a neurosecretory cells in the brain, which in turn stimulate the corpora allata. The corpora allata is a small gland behind the brain of the insect that produce a juvenile hormone that we know as JH. The prothoracic gland, which produce molting hormone, that is ecdysteroid, stimulates the epithelial cells in the cuticle to begin the molting process. That's the first thing that happens. It begins the molting process when the ecdysteroids stimulate the epithelial cells, and the outcome of the molt is determined by what we know as the juvenile hormone. The juvenile hormone suppresses adult character. The juvenile hormone suppresses what? Adult character. Now, large amount of juvenile hormone is found in larva, like when they want to move from larva to larva, like larva to larva. Small amount of juvenile hormone is when they want to move from larva to pupa. And no amount or no juvenile hormone being produced is when they want to move from pupa to adults. You understand? When they want to move from pupa to adults. Remember, I said that they have a complex life cycle, which is known as what do we know is I've forgotten. They have a complex life cycle that's known as metamorphosis. Yes, metamorphosis. Now, I've already mentioned this large amount of hormone from adults. So this is from larva to larva, from early larva to early larva. Large amount of juvenile hormone is being produced. That the what they mentioned there. This is the neurosecretory cells that we have the corpus caudum and the corpus allatum, and we have the prothoracic gland here, the ecdysome here. And if you want to move from larva to larva, a large amount of juvenile hormone is being produced. If you want to move from larva to pupa, a so I've explained all. Now, this is the diagrammatic representation of molting that we have mentioned. We have the apolysis, all these ones are apolysis, all these ones are apolysis. Then we have the ecdysis, and we have the what? We have the sclerotization. And this is everything about the arthropodal cuticle and the concept of molting. I hope you have learned a lot from this video. And in the next video, we'll be talking about the class Insecta itself and other classes in the phylum Arthropoda. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Thank you.